My doctoral dissertation is on my martial arts program. So I call it SEAL team, social, emotional, academic learning through mentoring and martial arts. But with that being said, every affirmation that I gave you pertaining to discipline, without a vision, the people perish.
Right.
I didn't say that. But I told you without discipline.
Right. And this one here is a little different because we got some politics in place here. But just not the political side. This brother does a whole bunch of things. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself to the people, let them know who you are, what you do.
Nahshon Nicks. I'm running for City Council District 7. I'm a Democrat right here in Duval. I'm also the business owner of Team Nitro MMA and CEO of the nonprofit, the First Coast Leadership Foundation.
Have you always been like into a bunch of things, like even as a youth?
You know what? You don't really think about it, William, because if you're playing football and then football season's over, you go into basketball, you go from basketball season to track, we have been doing multiple things at one time our whole life.
Right.
But nobody showed us how to monetize all the stuff that we've been doing our entire life.
Right.
You know, like, oh, man, I can't play football because, you know, I got track season coming up in 4 months. It's like, no, you just transition. And that's how I look at it, just making transitions.
So in making transitions, before you got to where you are now, what was, give me 13-year-old Nahshon Nicks. Like, what were you like then?
Woo! 13-year-old.
Teenager,
rambunctious. Matter of fact, 13, you're probably looking at ninth grade. At ninth grade, I was wearing a suit to school every day. My mom wasn't very wealthy. She actually struggled with substance abuse. So, but she knew I wanted to look like a businessman when I went to school. So she got all my clothes from the thrift store, 50-cent ties, 50-cent shirts, 50-cent pants. And I just knew I wanted to be a businessman when I grew up at 13. And then some of my classmates would call me Rev because they figured the only people who wore suits were reverends. But I'm also an ordained minister. I'm youth pastor at Mount Sinai Missionary Baptist Church. So that became like a little prophecy, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But 13 years old, playing sports, football, basketball, wrestling, track, and not necessarily saying I knew what the end goal was. I just knew that I wanted to be a businessman when I grew up.
At 13, though, because that didn't kick in for me until age 16. At age 16, I wrote this down, knew what I was trying to do. Not per se, like, exactly what, but I just knew I wanted to be a businessman. Didn't know what business, but I knew I was going to go into that. And I wrote this goal down at, like, 16, a bunch of different goals that I wanted to accomplish, right? And that was one of them. So at 13, and you said you was wearing suits, where did it come from? Because at 13, that's the last thing I was thinking about, especially a suit.
Yes. So my biological father spent a lot of my youth in prison. I'm from New York originally.
Okay.
I thank God for my stepfather, the guy that raised me. He's like, listen, you're going down the wrong track. You're way too smart to be getting all this trouble because I was always in the dean's office, always getting swats and licks because I didn't want to go to detention and Saturday school. So he's like, we're going to change your image. And like, so he's like, so what do you want to be? I was like, I want to be a businessman. So we're going to dress like business.
But where did you get that from at 13? We round about the same age.
I can't.
Like, because we didn't see, now you see it a lot. You could get this information everywhere. It's more visible. It's more accessible. You can find out about business. You can see businessmen on the regular. You suited and booted now. Like where did, I just want to know, like, where you saw it. Because I know he said, you know, hey, we'll change your image. But how did you say, okay, let me pick?
So, all right, let me go back again. I was the young man on Saturday mornings. If it wasn't football season, I was knocking on doors asking people if I can cut their grass.
Okay, so you already had it in you.
I was cutting grass. Yeah. I wanted my own money.
Right.
And I knew that the people who typically had their own money were business owners.
Got you.
So, like I said, obviously, with at 12, 13, but you knew that if you wanted money and you weren't finna sell no dope and you weren't finna rob nobody for it, and if you wanted to get it legit, I mean, all I needed was a lawnmower, some gas, some oil, and a personality. But moving forward, William, I found out from Carter G. Woodson's The Miseducation of the Negro, like once you teach a black man how to sell something, he'll never be broke. I didn't find that out until after I graduated from college, but those are the things or values that I think are a part of our rites of passage. They're a part of who we become because at childhood, we're just a younger version of ourselves, and in adulthood, we're just an older version
of the child
of that child.
Right.
You know, so we got more learned behaviors, learned responses, but I just thank God for the opportunities to kind of have people in my life to kind of help me foster it a little bit.
That's dope, man.
Yeah.
I like your philosophy too.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this then. So going back age 13 and you into your suits and stuff like that, was it something to where, because that's a age where the kids are making jokes and all this other stuff. Did it ever deter you to say, I don't want to wear the suits today because now they picking on me?
All right. I'm the oldest of 5 children. So when we did Apollo, like I said, this younger generation may not even know what that is.
My tough skin.
Yeah, my sister could sing, my other brother could rap, my other brother could dance, my other baby sister could sing. So when we didn't have cable, they probably don't know what that is either. Right. So we did Apollo, and I would be basically the comedian. So I'm pretty good at doing the dozens or ranking. You know, we used to call it ranking back in the day. Which ties into martial arts. Because I didn't have a filter back then. You know, I have to tell folks today, I'm a preacher, but don't push me.
I got you. Yeah.
So the goal is to kind of see how I can uplift people now. But back then, I can go back and forth with you all day long, and it's up to you how you want to handle this at the end.
I got you.
So, but like I said, even through learned responses and trained responses, you know, even in adulthood, you're going to have folks that come for you, especially when you're looking at running for public office. You got people that come at you they troll you on social media to try to find your weak spots, and the thing is that you just want to understand why you do what you do. You know, I want to be the best version of Nahshon Nicks. And if I can help inspire another young man to be the best version of themselves, then I did my job.
I got you, man. I relate with you, too, on that. I'm the oldest of 5. Always been witty. You said a joke, I got one ready. I probably got 10 ready, but I may let them off one at a time. You know what I mean? And then you get to a point where if you're gonna have that mouth, then you got to have something to back it up with. Because like you said, eventually it goes down that route. And so now you got to be able to defend yourself. Now, like you said, martial arts, I did that, but I think maybe like a brown belt. I could have sworn I put that on silent. Maybe like a brown belt.
It's commercial break.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
I think I got up to like brown belt or whatever. But I found true passion in boxing. And then that just really just made. So it's different because like once you get training on how to combat, I was never no bully. But I just knew, like, hey, do y'all really want to go down that route? Because, you know, like, I'm trained with this. So with the martial arts, did you ever have to, like, did you get into it just because you liked it, or you got into it to defend yourself, or, you know, be able to be combative if need be?
Now, like I said, the mindset that I have now is not what was.
I know we talking about back then.
Yeah, back then I saw Enter the Dragon with Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
And I was jumping off of my grandmother's sofa, karate chopping her dining room table. Yeah. And it was like, boy, if you don't go sit down somewhere, I know something. But my grandmother knew how I gravitated to martial arts, and she signed me up for Taekwondo. The rest is history. The rest is history. I'm a very physical person, and looking at it from like a Chancellor Williams, Destruction of Black Civilization, and Rites of Passage, there are some people who just have a warrior ethos. You understand? And unfortunately, everybody's not going to play football or wrestling or basketball. But with martial arts, it's a lifelong journey. You understand? So, and with that, I've been able to create a business around my lifelong journey.
That's perfect. That's perfect segue because that's what I was about to get into. Yeah. You ready for politics? So getting into that. So because I wanted to fast forward up until when you started your business with the martial arts. Like, what made you want to start your own business pertaining to that? Because it's rare you see too many black individuals doing it.
Yes. All right. So I'm also in a movie, by the way.
What movie?
It's called Fight Church. It's about pastors that do cage fighting. And like I was able to teach because my degree is in education from Edward Waters. So I'm one of the few folks that actually have a background in education in addition to a passion in martial arts. So when you're looking at being able to teach something, like Michael Jordan, I don't think he can necessarily teach another. Game, yeah. You know, but he can show you, but he can't necessarily teach you. And I think he tried that with Kwame Brown or something like that, right? But Phil Jackson, on the other hand, was an average basketball player, but a phenomenal coach.
And he could teach it.
You know, he could teach it. And I'm not trying to say I'm the best martial artist, but my passion now is to be able to pass that torch to help other people tap into their giftings. So I get people all the time like, can you teach me how to fight? Can you teach me how to fight? And I'm like, no. But I can teach you how to be the best version of yourself. Because this is a lifelong journey. For our young youth, I was challenged by an individual by the name of Bishop James Brandt. Bishop James Brandt said, Nicks, you're teaching these boys how to win, but nobody taught them how to lose. And that's why they're killing each other. So everybody loses is how you bounce back from it. So with our youth and young people here in Duval, and you know our murder rate is pretty high, I tell them up front, I don't care if you win, and I don't care if you lose. My concern is, what did you learn? And then at the same time, if you won, can you please show the next person where they were vulnerable at so that way they can learn from this experience as well. So it's almost like enhancing your community without necessarily having a board meeting or a town hall. Right. And I actually did an in-school tournament, William, where we were able to invite parents and grandparents to an in-house tournament. We didn't declare any winners. We didn't declare any losers. They started with respects, and that's how we show respects, by the way.
Okay.
And when it's over, this is how we show respects. And then I said, everybody clap it up. Grandma clapping, granddaddy clapping, uncle, auntie, aunt, daddy. Everybody is clapping it up, even though I didn't declare a winner. And it was revolutionary because, especially in the black community, we're so taught to degrading each other with slangs, with name calling, et cetera. But at the end of the day, these are our babies.
Right.
So I'm like a father, and I want all my kids to win. So that's kind of how I look at it.
That's dope. So going back to that, because you said a piece, you said if you in combat, if one person wins and the other person loses, then you want that person who won to show the person who lost what they did to win. So it's kind of like giving that person, hey, you didn't just lose, but here's what you could take because this is what I did to win. This is what I got from it to win. And in doing so, I see that as a way of like getting these kids to understand, like you said, you're not going to win at everything. And it's okay to lose. It's just how you handle that loss. Is that something that you preach to them, like how to handle the L?
Yes, and I'm not going to go into all my
because it could be just in life, not just sports.
Well, first of all, if you want to find out what you were made of, this pandemic taught you what you were made of. And some people folded. They're back to punching the clock right now. They're done with their business. I tell folks, and if I could send something to your viewing audience, you never delay your dream. You just delay gratification. And so one of my affirmations for our youth is, without discipline, dreams are destroyed. And with discipline, dreams are developed.
Without discipline, dreams are destroyed.
Yes.
And with discipline,
dreams are developed.
Dreams are developed. I like that.
There's a bunch of brilliant black men in prison right now, not because they didn't have a dream or they weren't brilliant, it's because they didn't have discipline.
Yeah.
And basically, you got some average people who are successful, not because they were brilliant, but because they had discipline.
Discipline, yeah. That makes sense. You're absolutely right about that. Discipline is key. That's in life, just in general. And like you said, this pandemic, it showed you make or break, and if you had discipline as well.
Yes.
Because I know a lot of people who have businesses, and like you said, they back punching the clock. And I've had business for 17 years, but before internet and all this other stuff, I knew what to do in order to generate sales. Because at that time, we around the same age and went to the same school. Shout out to EWC, by the way. EWU.
Dear old Edward Waters.
Yeah,
you're the world to me.
Yeah. But you know, at that time, we had MySpace and Facebook, but you had to be in college just to be on Facebook. You know what I mean? So it wasn't all this stuff that everybody have now. So I knew then what it took just to start a business when I didn't have all these resources that the kids have now, or even that the adults have now. I could take advantage of it now, doing from knowledge that I had back then to knowledge that I have now. But I don't see a lot of people, they depend so much on these devices and the internet and all this other stuff to where they don't get out and like talk to people and network too. You know, that's a major thing, networking and all the other stuff. Do you teach your kids and your students, are they your students that you call them?
Yes.
About like networking and being able to talk to one another and how to build with one another? I
was at Joshua Christian Academy today. Shout out to Miss Lisa Harris, the pastors Pinckney, Gloria, and Frederick Pinckney, because I was speaking to a bunch of young black boys, and I'm calling them boys because they're 13 and up. And I said, how many of you all play basketball? And like 10 of them raised their hand. I said, my favorite player is Allen Iverson.
Mine all day, yeah.
But he never won a championship.
Yeah.
He never won a championship because he didn't know how to work with his team. And if we don't learn how to work together, I said, LeBron, he did it. He made it to the league. Then he told one of his partners, you go learn finance, you go learn business,
yep.
You go learn how to start a school so that way the kids that, like us that grew up without all these extra amenities, we want to make sure that they get them. And he kept the same team on every level.
Yep.
And he invested in his team so that way the areas, all he got to do is keep being number one. And as long as he can keep being number one, the team grows, the team builds, the team wins. And it's not just LeBron.
You're right.
So that I'm very big on that because we come from a lot of historic trauma. Even with our city, we got some historic trauma when it comes to our elders and leaders. Bishop Rudolph McKissick Sr. said one time that the reason why we have so much destruction in our communities is because the elders and the youth are disconnected. And Jacksonville has the highest concentration of African Americans out of any other city in the state of Florida, 300,000. We need what you have to offer. We need what he has to offer. And we need what your listening and viewing audience has to offer. But if all we're constantly doing is being self-destructive, we're never going to get the best versions of ourselves, and we're never going to get the win. I love Atlanta. I love what Maynard Jackson did for Atlanta. But they don't have a port. We do.
Yeah, we do have a port, yeah.
We got railway, highway, waterway, and airway.
Yeah, it should be big like that. So you said something, and I just spoke about this yesterday to my stepdaughter, and here's something that I would like for you to take back to your students, because you say you preach too, right?
Yes.
Or the congregation or whatever. There is a disconnect. Here's where I see the disconnect at. The disconnect is this. The kids, we have them go to church or whatever, right? And they're going to church not really understanding, not really building a relationship with God. Because when I was growing up, we was in church almost every day. To the point, I hated church so much, I started liking it. Like, you know what? I just might as well get used to it because my mama said that either go to church or get out her house. I don't want to be homeless, so I'm going to church, you know? So I'm in here. But then around 13, 14, I started to know God for myself. So I had a relationship with God. So church wasn't just church anymore to me. It wasn't just this building and like, oh, we got to go to church again. Like, okay, yeah, I'm excited to go. I have a relationship with God. When I go in here and the pastor is reading from the word or whatever, now I get to really dissect it. I may read, he may stop at verse 15. I may continue reading a little bit more just to understand this passage, just to get this knowledge in, and then get a chance to like talk to God and create this relationship with God. I think the kids don't have a relationship with God. And that's the disconnect. The parents aren't saying to the kids, hey, do you know who God is? Do you know what God is about? What does God mean to you? I just asked these questions to my stepdaughter. She had no answer. It's because we haven't been teaching her this. We going to church and then she gives a little attitude. I gotta go to church. So I had to sit down. I was like, okay, there's a problem here. And in talking to her yesterday, I figured out I was a part of the problem because I'm not even showing you like, hey, asking you the question so that you could give me the answer. So right now, what we're doing is installing Bible study at the house every week so that she can at least dive into the word and they get a chance to know God for herself. What do you say about that? Like, that's what I say the disconnect is.
All right. Now, and you're right. I have a philosophy that people can only perform to the level that they've been prepared. And Edward Waters College started off as a divinity school. They no longer offer religion and philosophy. I'm going to ask that they bring that back as well as education.
Listen. I know you like what you're listening to, and I know you like what you're hearing. I'm going to let you get right back to it. But I need you to do one thing for me real quick. I need you to like this video, share, subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell. That's how you know when the videos drop. So like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we're going to let you get back to it from A to Z with WB.
See what we can do on a city level to help push that, because at one point in time, most of our educators graduated from Edward Waters College, which is now Edward Waters University. But with that being said, right, there are some cultural aspects. Religion is not what you teach and preach. Religion is what you practice. And what you're talking about with the relationship with God, it has to be fostered, right? Unfortunately for us, we haven't been taught how to incorporate God into our everyday life. My doctoral dissertation is on my martial arts program. So I call it SEAL Team, Social, Emotional, Academic Learning through Mentoring and Martial Arts. But with that being said, every affirmation that I gave you pertaining to discipline, without a vision, the people perish.
Right.
I didn't say that. But I told you without discipline.
Right,
but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
So everything that I teach is biblically based. So I had to find a way. The book teaches to be wise as a serpent and as harmless as a dove. So I had to figure out how I can bring this curriculum inside of DCPS. So I can work with youth that look just like us to teach them that they are valuable.
Right.
So with the relationship with God and from a spiritual aspect is it can't just be a Sunday practice, if that makes sense. When I'm out here campaigning, I was actually at the club last night. Same person.
I got you.
Same message. Same individual. Yeah. I didn't change who I was just because I was in a different atmosphere. And I think for some reason that we have been taught to be chameleons. We try to blend in with every crowd that we're in, which goes back into we were wonderfully and fearfully made. What I had to teach my daughters is now that you have a relationship with God, he says, honor your father and your mother.
Yep.
So when you have a lifestyle that does not bring honor to your father and your mother, you out of line with God. Yep. So we have to kind of, when the book talks about beating, it's not talking about a physical punishment each time. Not saying that you should spare the rod, but when we talk about beating, it's a level of repetition. And whatever you repeat, you reinforce. So we reinforce this in our morning prayer. We reinforce this before we break bread. We reinforce this when we're taking family trips. Like, our God goes with us everywhere. We don't leave him. We don't have a closet religion, per se.
Right, I got you.
But I think that we're still learning how to incorporate God into everything that we do, and to even go so to the extent that if you wanted financial lending for a business, if we were going back to pre and post slavery, you went to the AME church. because that's where you got your financing for your business. If you wanted a home loan, you went to your church. If you wanted to get educated, you went to your church. Hence, EWU, AME, like, so a lot of our practices have gone away from their origins, and we've kind of taken on a different perspective.
Oh, you're right. And they had biblical studies at EWU when I got there.
Yes.
2002, when I got there, it was biblical. It was mandatory too.
Yes.
To take that.
Yes, and like I said, we all have to have representations. So I'm not trying to knock or push religion on anybody. I'm going to say just be true to whatever you say you're true to. Understood. And if we could do that, I think everybody wins.
Definitely, man. Definitely. So outside of the martial arts, what else you got going on, man?
All right. I run a nonprofit called the First Coast Leadership Foundation. We're big on mentoring the youth. We are a Christian nonprofit. We're located off of Pearl, right here in Duval, Health Zone 1. My goal is, from a nonprofit perspective, is I don't want people to keep coming for fish. We want to make sure that people are properly equipped for fishing. And basically, we want people to be self-sustaining. And so if there are services or inroads that we have as a nonprofit, we want to use those inroads to help build the community. So that way, instead of them becoming a liability, they become an asset. Yeah. And so within our facility, we have a conference room, which is free to the public. It's first come, first serve. We got a business incubator.
This is on Pearl?
This is on Pearl, 2049 North Pearl Street. We got a business incubator in there, Wi-Fi throughout the building, a commercial printer. My goal is I want people to be equipped to start a business. I believe every human being should have a JOB and an EIN until their EIN becomes their JOB.
Hey, how you do it? How you do it? My boy. Yes.
Like I said, this is not something that I came up with yesterday. I have an awesome team that supports the vision that God has given me. Yeah. We're big on civic engagement, because civic engagement is bigger than just you get out and vote. Civic engagement is, these are policies that are coming into our community, and we need you to speak on this at city council. We need you to speak on this at the school board meetings. We need you to take a trip to Tallahassee. We need you to know what's going on in our city, what's going on in our state, where's this funding going, and what is coming back to our communities? What's happening pertaining to policy to where we make our communities safer and better. Right. You know?
Yeah, man, that is, I love everything you're doing, especially with what you just said too. Have a job, at least have an EIN until that EIN becomes your actual business. But and it's needed too, because it's perks in just having a business. You know, tax cuts and all this other stuff. Now with the politics, that's like, because okay, here's my thing on politics. I vote or whatever, but I know they always like to say, you know, voting changes things. And I agree and disagree to a degree. It does, but I've always been always thought that it really changes in the where you're at first in your city, and then you kind of expand from there. You get the right people in your city to kind of make some differences, and so on and so forth. Is that something you're trying to do, or are you trying to climb up the ranks in politics to go further outside of Jacksonville?
All right, so William, my passion and commitment is to the people in our city.
Okay.
We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
He stayed right here, y'all.
I believe in bottom-up leadership.
I got you.
All right, bottom-up leadership is boots on the ground.
Okay.
We elected Obama for president. That's top-down leadership. I know brothers, I'm not lying to you, that went into that voting booth, they knocked off Obama for president, and then they walked right back out. And then they wonder why he couldn't do anything. You didn't vote for any judges. You didn't vote for any U.S. senators. You didn't vote for any state senators. You didn't vote for any House representatives. You didn't vote for any state legislators. You didn't vote for any city council people. And then you're wondering why he couldn't get as much done, because you didn't put anything in place for him. You didn't give him a team to work with.
I agree with you on that. How do we get that part promoted more, advertised more? Because what happens is when it's time for the presidency run, that's all that is the focus, right? And the other stuff, because you see that on the ballot, the judges, this, that, and the third. And I've saw some names. I'm like, yo, I don't know who to vote for in this thing because I don't know none of these people. I didn't see any campaigns really. Like it comes right when it's time to, but I don't see any work prior to them. Let me see like what this person has done. How we change that?
All right, so I'm glad you said that. I'm a registered Democrat. We do have a Democrat Party here in Jacksonville. I'm not saying that you have to come Democrat, but if you're registered, you need to get involved with that party's meetings.
Gotcha.
So meaning that Google the Democratic Party meetings if you're a Democrat, and if you're a Republican or independent.
Yeah.
Now, independents, obviously, they're doing a lot more legwork because there's like independent party is not a party. You know what I mean? But when you look at it, we have precinct meetings, meaning this is what's going on with this particular precinct. Then you got it broken down to the Duval Black Caucus. So those who are considered specifically about writing legislation for the black community. Then you got the Hispanic Caucus for those who are looking to do legislation or policy pertaining to the Hispanic. So they're helping shape stuff to educate you that, listen, when you go to these meetings, and you want to know, should we vote for this person or this judge, this is the research that we've done. And then we try to take that information back home or to our local neighborhoods and let folks know, listen, this is what's going on. Unfortunately, we depend on the public schools or the private schools to do all the education. We have to take accountability because if it's your community, you got to own it.
Right.
You got to own it. I'm from the philosophy that I think I can think for myself.
Yeah, you know what? One more time, my brother, because I hate when somebody think for me because I'm very smart. That's a pet peeve of mine. Do not think for me. I have all my limbs. Everything works fine, and I consider myself to be a smart individual, and I can think for myself. So I agree with you on that. And I love that you said that because I don't like when nobody thinks for me. But like you said, we do need that, like. Because I need it too, man, to see like where to go to understand who needs
supervisor
to be in
elections. Like I said, there's from a civic engagement perspective, we're taught to vote for the president,
right?
But what happens in your community is what you call municipal elections. So you need to know who's on that ballot already or who's filed to run for sheriff. Right. You got a problem with policing. Well, try to find a candidate that's running for sheriff. Now, let me go back. Going back to the AME.
Yeah.
And I'm just using, and then Baptist, Pentecostal, everybody's awesome. I'm not knocking any other, I'm just using it from a historical lens. From a historical lens, if you did not have a candidate that you agreed with, you raised one.
Right.
Like Martin Luther King didn't happen by accident. He was raised.
Yeah.
Because our ancestors and elders were not allowed to go to white hotels to sleep. So they slept at Pastor King's house, and Mama King was cooking breakfast and dinner and lunch. So Martin on the couch listening to grown folks talk about what's going on in the movement, what's going on here. By the time the Joker was 15, he had a college education.
Right. Yeah.
Like, so these are the things, what you call succession planning. That's something else that's not happening in our city. We need real succession planning, meaning that, listen, we want to start raising our leaders now, especially those that have those type of passions. Let's try to see if we can put them in position now. So that way, when they do get out there, they have a supporting cast to go with them.
So you're running for?
City Council District 7.
All right, so what can we expect from you if you win?
Number one, I've been surveying our communities, and some of the top issues that I'm hearing about is safety, housing, and basically an atmosphere that's conducive for family growth. And what that looks like for me is, number one, I want our communities safer. Number two, I want small business incubation and stability, meaning that I want to groom businesses within our city to where they're able to thrive in our city. Another thing is we're looking at infrastructure. What infrastructure looks like is people are like, man, we need a grocery store. Well, if you don't have adequate sewage and drainage, you can't get a grocery store over there. You know what I mean? Or basic amenities such as public parks. I talked to one mother. She said she doesn't send her children to parks because they're sad. sex, alcohol, and drugs. She's not sending them outside to play.
Sex, alcohol, drugs. Yeah, I got you.
So like these are the little basic amenities that just need to be addressed. So, I mean, from just potholes to blight.
Oh yeah.
Things that can make a community appear safe or thriving, and just basically just getting that connection to where we're able to work with the elders, the community captains, the community leaders, the homeowner associations, to see what they want, and then to see how local government can help them with their goals, basically.
Do they have anything that's going to be put in place? Because you said the first thing you said was safety, right? And that is a big thing with this youth now. The thing is, they don't have anything to do. There's nothing for them to do. You just said, one individual said, I don't send my kids to the park. That was the thing we did when we were younger. Everybody's at the park. Once I get done with my homework, I'm at the park because this is where it's happening at. And we leave up out of there. There's no harm, no foul. At the most, you get into a fight, go home. That's it. Now they getting shot up left and right. But we also had other things to do. We can go to the skating rink. You had the Boys and Girls Club. You have the YMCA. You had AAU. All these different activities to keep you active. What is the city going to do to bring some stuff to keep these kids active? One thing that I was just in a meeting with some individuals. A group of like-minded brothers, and we're getting together to try to do some stuff here. And one of the things that one of the guys said, he was an elder of ours, and he was like, I hear everything that you guys are talking about. Some of the plans that you have is great, but I heard nothing about entertainment-wise for the youth. Like, what are you going to bring here to bring something that the youth can do something or have activities to where, like you have your martial arts and stuff, but it can be an activity where they're actually having a good time but learning something in the same realm that can help them be better off in life. The city needs to bring some type of structure, entertainment-wise, or play. That's what the guy was saying. He was like, focus on the play. When he said play, he was meaning entertainment. But something for the youth to do, because that's one of the major issues. Yes, the potholes need to be fixed, because me and him complain about it all the time. We know that's a problem that needs to be fixed. Yes, they could do infrastructure and put grocery stores and all this other stuff. That's just another way for the city to make more money. What about the youth?
All right. Now, the youth, as you know, I've served our youth consistently, basically my entire adult life. My business goes into private, public, and Christian schools. So I've been in the KIPS, I've been in DCPS, I've been in Christian schools. When we surveyed our youth, we said, what are your top 3 concerns? Number 1 is death and dying. Number 2 is making money. And number 3 is police interactions. That's 32206, which is typically the north side and the east side of Jacksonville. But with those concerns, we also surveyed youth from 32218. And they were talking about how they were dealing with anxiety, depression, and feeling overwhelmed since the pandemic, basically going to school. So we try to get their felt needs, and then what did they feel like were the top 3 concerns. Number 1, our entertainment has been contaminated. If the best that we can do is hit him in the head, knock his dreads off, or knock his head off.
No, you're right. Yeah.
If the best that we can do is who I smoke, we're going in the wrong direction. My campaign, I asked my 9-year-old nephew to make my campaign song called Heartbeat of the City. And he performed it at the MLK parade.
Oh, wow.
And at the MLK parade, he's only like 3 feet. So he was on there on the truck with the DJ, and he's performing this live. So because they couldn't see him, when they did see him, everybody from kids, grandmas, uncles, and aunties started saying, there you go, right there. And so I'm big on what you call like that career passion, or that interest passion, or entertainment passion. Whatever we can do to make this a place to where, pertaining to the north side of Jacksonville for family entertainment, one of the things that I would like to do is see some type of maybe small or mini theme park.
Yes.
So that way families...
Well, didn't we just talk about that? Yes.
So that way families feel comfortable coming out and enjoying themselves.
Right.
Typically, we have to come to the South Bank or South Side to go into an urban air or jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I hear it. I hear it. I want the playground safer. I want the playgrounds to have all the amenities possible. I would love to have water parks going throughout the community, especially during the summers where they got the water slides.
The water slides where we had, yeah.
Going back to revisit some of the pools, make sure that they're safe, secure. We got proper lifeguards. So I'm big on those amenities. Now, another thing is, like I said, from a career path, especially for our older teens, to where they're able to, for me, I was cutting grass. But for somebody else, it may be the STEM or the STEAM, science, technology, engineering, art, and mathematics. I want them to be able to enjoy those assets as well, to see how we can link up with the private sector to see, hey, do you have some slots open? I was made aware with Swisher Sweet. They were doing paid internships for teenagers and college students. I was made aware of JEA. I was made aware of JSO. I can't think of their program right now, but basically they give them exposure into those career paths. And then I think like summer red caps is something that our elders used to do, where they would get paid a stipend to do some community cleanup, but it's your community.
Right.
So like my mama said, like, hey, I shouldn't have to pay to clean up the house, but like I said, if you're gonna clean up your community and get a stipend, why not take advantage of that, you know? And then, so I am invested in that. I just want to call out just a couple things that I saw, but I would love to be able to bring a family theme park to the north side of Jacksonville.
I think it's needed. I think that would change a lot. It would help a lot, you know, and then it'll spark some more individuals to, you know, at least want to do the same. And that's something that they would protect.
Yes.
I think they would, because there's nothing on the north side. When I first came to Jacksonville, that's where EWU was at, on the north side. I'm coming from Miami, the hood in Miami. I feel like they dropped me just back in another hood, I'm just in another part of Florida now, you know, and then having to get used to, not even get used to that. It was immediately like, I was familiar with this. Here we go. You know what I mean? I got the drug dealers over here. I got people over here shooting dice. I think my first week at Edward Waters, somebody tried to rob us coming down Dot Street. Mm-hmm. So it was like, oh, man, I'm back in the hood. You know, so it made me want to, the minute I came on the south side, I like this side over here. I don't want to be on the north side. But the north side has a lot to offer, but it's like they don't put anything over there. And then when they do, they take it away. The landing, all this other stuff, everything's like gone. That's, even though that's downtown, but to me it's connected towards the north side.
So downtown historically has not got the same attention as the South Bank since consolidation. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we have to revisit. I want Jacksonville to be a destination city, especially when it comes to travel, trade, and tourism. But downtown with that riverfront, I mean, how many cities can say that they got that?
Right.
So I want to capitalize on that riverfront. I want to capitalize on opportunities for vendors, small businesses to be able to have like a marketplace district or a black business district, to where when you coming through Duval, I want you to get your nails done here. I want you to get your lunch over here. And then for your nightlife entertainment, I want you to spend your money here.
You know who's doing that? Charlotte.
All right, now that's another thing. So I don't want our young, talented, innovative minds coming to Jacksonville to be educated and then moving to Charlotte. Mm-hmm. Let's build our own rooftop bars, our own rooftop clubs or entertainment.
That's what has to happen here.
Let's do that here.
Everything that you're saying, they have there. So if you have all that stuff here, it won't prompt you to go somewhere else to do it.
Exactly, because we're losing out on our top talent because they're migrating to Atlanta. They're migrating into Dallas. They're migrating it back to New York or LA or Miami and Orlando. I want you to come here and spend money here. I want you to come here to feel like you can raise your family here. I want you to feel like, listen, this is the place to be. It's right here in Duval.
I agree with you, man. I love this city. It's my second home. And I see, since I've been here, it's my, 18 years now, all I've heard is, Jacksonville on the right. Next year, but in the next 5 years, but I done heard 5 years. That's been 15 years, you know what I mean? A decade and a half almost of it's going to change. And I've never seen too much change.
So
I know that's a lot. I'm not putting it on you. I'm just saying.
And I want to go somewhere because we got to address historic trauma. With historic trauma, you have trust issues, right? I ain't gonna give up my ideas. I ain't finna get this 100%. Well, if all you giving is 50%, we only want to get 50%.
Right.
If I'm giving 100 and you're giving 50, that means we're getting 75%.
Right.
So the law of average, we're still we gotta have open, honest, and transparent conversations and dialogue, and then we gotta be real about our capabilities, be real about our capacity, and to see how we can actually move together, lock and step. Dr. Claude Anderson is like, listen, Negroes are the only people, or black folks are the only people that can't tell you which direction we're going. So, you know what I mean? Oh, we're going north. You want to go that north? You want to go that north? You want to go that? Yeah. So we got to all agree that, listen, these are some basic essentials for our success and survival. And Dr. Barbara Sizemore said that politics is basically the management of resources to ensure the survival of a people. So, like, we got so many land asset resources, and we have a rich history right here in Jacksonville that I don't think we leverage all of our land resources and our heritage. When they talk about this 40 acres in a mule, which is Special Field Order 15, that's talking about Duval. And to be specific, it's talking about the north side. So those are some things that we got to go back and research. The National League of Color Baseballists, that's right here in Duval. I mean, when you look at the fastest man in the world, Bullet Bob Hayes, you're talking about right here in Duval. I mean, so, Clara White Mission, self-made woman, millionaire, black woman, right here in Duval. I just
found out so much info about Clara White Mission. I went out there and volunteered, man. It's crazy. I didn't know she did all that. It's ridiculous, man.
Yes, and like I said, but it's all, we got to leverage our assets. I believe the Jacks Chamber, they're trying to reach out to minorities and African Americans to see how they can help put that infrastructure together. You got LISC out there, which is a federally funded program to help small businesses with finding LISC, LISC. Then you got the SBDC, Small Business. They're part of the SBA, Small Business Administration, which are trying to help put that infrastructure for small businesses. So there's a lot of entities out there, and then where we come in as local government, we're your advocates through the city processes, zoning, land usage, code enforcement. Our job is to work with you while you're trying to grow your business so that we can have a rich legacy.
Got you, man. I appreciate you coming through, brother. When is the election?
So as of right now, the election is set for March of 23. However, because the incumbent is running for another office, it may open up that seat to be on the ballot in August of 22. So please stay tuned. I definitely need your support.
Okay. We alumni. I got you, brother. This all I want. Do what you say you're going to do to the best of your ability. I know it's just one man and you got your team and stuff like that, but y'all do what y'all say y'all going to do.
So with that being said, there are 19 city council people, okay? You have 14 districts, 5 at large. I'm running for city council District 7, but I'll be working for every citizen in Duval County. And we need to make sure all those other seats that are up, you're also putting in people who have that same passion.
They got to put their 100% in too. I get
because if everybody's putting in 50%, we're only going to move 50%.
Got you. Where can the people go if they trying to get to see who they need to elect? Because you mentioned it earlier, but just to reframe on that, and then again, where they need to go to vote for you as well, and how they can get in contact with you. You can say that to the camera.
All right. Well, it's Duval County Supervisor of Elections. You can type that in Google, and it'll bring up the Supervisor of Elections office, and it'll bring up all upcoming elections. For your support, I need you to visit votenix4jax.com, votenix4jax.com. In order to be effective, it can be expensive. I had people tell me that they never donated to a political candidate before until they met me. But those resources go a long way. It almost brought tears in my eyes because one of my former students saw something I posted online, and she said, "Mr. Nicks, I've already donated. So They're fired up. We got young people that I don't feel like they get the credit that they deserve because of media and how they're portrayed. But they want change too. They just need direction. Yeah. And so voteNicksforJax.com. And I'm running for City Council District 7, so that way you're informed about this, just in case you don't live in my district, but grandma does, or you know someone who does. You're looking at all of downtown, Brooklyn, East Side, out East, Pearl World, Brentwood, Norwood, Gulf Fair, Panama Park, going up US 1 and 95 till you get to Dunn Avenue. Then you got what you would call Budweiser, Harts Road, Biscayne, Turtle Creek, going back around to Dinsmore, Barrington Cove. And then you go back up to Pecan Park, going around to Jacksonville International Airport, back around to First Coast High School. And that pretty much covers City Council District 7.
That's all District 7?
Yes, it is the biggest business district in JEA, JTA, JIA, Jacksport, Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Jacksonville Zoo.
Hey, man, it's a lot of J's. Listen, I need y'all to go out and support, man. Make sure you vote for Nahshon Nicks.
Nicks.
I'm sorry, Nahshon
Vote Nicks, that's it. Vote Nicks, that's it.
Vote Nicks, that's it. District 7. I didn't know District 7 was that huge, but we're going to make sure we get you on there, brother. I appreciate you coming through. How we do it? Wow. It's been another episode from A to Z. Catch y'all next time. Peace.